Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today's episode 193, amazing things that can save our planet. We are broadcasting live from our pickup truck on our work commute, so that's the background noise. For those of you watching, yes, I am driving in reverse here down the whole entire driveway. But yeah, 5 things that can change our planet. This show's got a lot of mixed subject matter, but it all really pertains to, as the opening implies, making a better world, making a better life. Whether times are hard, whether times are good, whether we have a pandemic, here in 2021 or whatever the case is, these are things that would just be, that are profitable to human beings and profitable for Mother Earth. So there's a lot of amazing people out there doing some innovations and things that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to. Quite frankly, it pisses me off because if you guys listen to the show, we're all about solutions. And I know a lot of people who like to do the drama of what's bad, bad, bad. Look at the bad stuff. Look at all this bad stuff. And then you try to throw in some solutions and some good stuff. And they're like, that's cool, but we got all this bad, bad, bad stuff. So it seems like most of humanity wants to go with the negative and not the positive. But I'm here to share with you guys how we're pulling water from the air. Yeah, you heard me right, cloud nets. If you've never heard of them, I actually just got so remarried to it, right? My relationship with cloud nets just got rekindled. So I actually started watching some YouTube videos on it. And I got a link for you guys below in the description so you guys can check it out. But basically what a cloud net is it's a giant tarp that's made out of woven fabrics, let's say, whether it be plastics or things like that. They've got all kinds of different stuff. But basically, if you think of a shade tarp, if you know what that is, it's not necessarily waterproof. It's got holes through it, right? It's like a giant screen. So lets a certain amount of air come through, but not all. So what happens is when these clouds or the mist, the fog, things like that pop up, what happens is that they stick to the plastic, right? They stick to the screen, and water is actually magnetic, right? There's little droplets of this fog, very fine. They're so fine that they just float in the air. It takes a while for them to hit the ground. So what happens, they'll come and they'll get caught in this net. And when one droplet of water gets caught and another one touches it, it's magnetic, it sticks. As many of them collect over and over again, they have to obey the laws of gravity, and they go straight down into, what is it, a rain gutter, right? These things look like 2 posts, basically by about 10 feet wide and about maybe 10 feet tall. They'll be like this net. It'll be tied off with ropes or bungees, whatever have you. It's nice and straight so that all the droplets will fall straight down. Right below those 2 posts that are stretching out like a giant H, right? That are stretching out the cloud net. There's the water catchment system there, the gutter, where all those driplets will just start falling, thousands of them. It'll be angled just right that goes down into a pipe that either goes in the ground or goes into a storage water container of sorts. So very, very cool stuff. Lots of innovations, not a lot of people talking about it, not a lot of funding for it. So they're kind of experimenting around and seeing what they can do. But in Chile, they produce, I'll put it into gallons for us in the United States, but they produce 10,000 liters of water per day off this system, and it's about 875 square feet. That comes out to about 2,500 gallons a day of water, and that's about 900 square feet, like I said there. I think that I was doing some calculations here in the semi-arid climate that I live in Sunnyside, California, and we don't get fog every single day, but we get some at night. But producing your own water out of thin air, I think that's pretty cool. And that's what the villagers there in Chile get. They get to wash their hands and drinking water and, things like that. So really, really cool. Very supportive of these new technologies and things that people are gathering. So yeah, check it out. The next one is keyline design. And also, this is a broad fork. Keyline design was designed, I believe, by P.A. Yeomans. I can't remember where he's from. There's so much information in this noodle here. I can't retain it all. But PA Yeomans invented a keyline plow. So basically what it is, it's like a shank that comes down, a plow behind a tractor, and it'd be like a blade, right? A metal sheet that comes down, and the bottom looks like a torpedo. So what this does is it doesn't plow the ground. The torpedo goes down about a foot or so, foot and a half, 16 inches, 18 inches, depending. And when that torpedo goes through the soil, it basically knocks and cracks the soil, basically pushes it open so that oxygen could come in and water could actually come in. So we're not flipping it, we're just cracking the soil. Just like a broad fork. For any of you who are into gardening, they have like a giant pitchfork, but it's got stirrups, like these stands on it that you can stand on with two giant handles. And all you do is you hoof it, you put all your weight, you stab it into the ground, and then you just pull it back a little bit and you crack the ground, and you keep doing this. It's the same principle. The PA Yeomans, the keyline plow, is done on large, huge scale. So really cool stuff. Mark Shepard of New Forest Farms. None of these people know that I exist ever, these names, at least maybe not yet. But Mark Shepard, you can see New Forest Farms and his work that he's been doing, and it's really, really amazing. This is a way that we don't disturb the earth, I think. There would be, I would imagine, some disruption to some animals like snakes and birds and things like, and rabbits, squirrels, moles. I think that but not as much as turning the whole entire complete ground over. So it's very gentle, very good for the earth. The microbiology, I guess you would ask why would this be so significant? How could this help save the world? Is that the microbiology that's happening in that soil, every time you flip it over, you kill it all. They all die, and that's why soil is fertile when you plow it. You keep doing this over and over again until you get to where we are today, where you just have dirt. That's it. That's not soil anymore. There's no microbiology left in it. So this helps out and also helps to retain the water. So all that water you get from your cloud nets, you can store in these key lines down in the ground. Because if those lines weren't there, the water wouldn't penetrate. It would take a lot. It would sheet off and end up way at the bottom of your property. Having these key lines on contour, we'd have a nice, good water storage. So moving next is Huglekulture. And I love talking about this Huglekulture / wood core gardening. So Huglekulture is basically when you dig yourself a giant ditch, you remove the soil out of the ground, you'll line, say, a big old, about a 6 foot wide by, let's say, about a 20 feet long. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stick yourself a bunch of dead wood that's in there, preferably some semi-large logs, tree branches and things like that. Just fill the whole thing up with wood to a giant mound, about maybe 3-4 feet tall. I think the numbers would be mixed around depending on who you're talking to. You're going to take that topsoil that you took out of that ditch and you're going to bury it on top. You're going to cover over this wood. What's going to happen is you're going to have a teepee effect, right? Now this is called Huglekulture. So what's going to happen is all that wood's going to soak in a lot of moisture. It's going to hold a lot of nitrogen and everything, especially in its first stages, first year to 2 to 3 years. It's going to have a lot of minerals. As that wood breaks down, it's going to slowly release vitamins and nutrients and also water, and also hold water like a sponge. So when you plant a tree or your garden on top of this big old mound, the roots are going to go down. They know that there's water. They're going to go down, they're going to tap into that rotting wood, and they're going to get all kinds of vitamins and everything they need. So it's like a food storage, basically. Now, wood core gardening is where I would recommend if you were in the desert or in semi-arid Mediterranean climates like where I am here, where it's very dry. This is when you want to actually go into the earth and not go above the earth. You want to remove that soil. You want to line a layer of logs, and then you want to cover it over. And then you may want to even recess it a little bit, as we were talking about the key line, so that when it rains and everything, that water could actually stay in that area. And what that's going to do, both of these, is, well, first of all, the ones that are teepee shaped, that are up in the air, when the wind blows and the sun shines on it, it's going to want to have a tendency to dry out. Whereas the wood core bed that's under the ground, with no air touching it, actually, just the sun, and if it was heavily mulched over with hay or wood chips or something like that, would actually retain a lot more moisture than it would with the teepee effect. So really cool stuff. These things will last many, many years. They won't last forever, but you're essentially producing your own soil. Now, Zep Holzers is one of the guys who I want to talk about next, and what he does is he stages Huglekulture beds. he's basically making his own soil. He'll bury all that wood, and after about a decade or so, I don't know exactly how long, everything will get rotted out. He'll plant daikon radishes and stuff that'll grow in there, that'll rot, and that'll bring microbiology, and then he'll get a giant bulldozer, and he'll just push that whole mountain, that whole Huglekulture over. I mean, he's got these things like several feet tall, like I think like 16 feet tall, ridiculous, big-ass mountains. But you're essentially producing your own soil. Now, another thing in conjunction with water and Huglekulture, maybe not Huglekulture, but swales and terracing, is Zep Holzer actually created his own spring terrace. I think it's called. In a dry, I didn't know that in Austria is where he's from, that there is such a dry area, a dry place. So there is that. A lot of people told him, look, what you're doing is crazy. You're not going to create a spring. You're not going to create a forest here. It's dry. There's no water. There's nothing for you. On the side of a mountain, what he did is he went and terraced. He went and cut out large gutter systems, right? I'm just going to try to oversimplify it. I just want to get you guys over there to see this kind of stuff. Google it, Zep, Z-E-P, Holzer, H-O-L-Z-E-R, spring terrace. And basically what is, he cut a bunch of gutters and lines to hold the water in the side of this hill, right? And what happened is as this water gets held, it starts to seep down to a certain point. He's got it where it's funneled into an underground water cistern, basically, that is lined with natural clay for waterproofing. So basically what he's got is an underwater lake, right? It's got holding capacity. Next, he went and stuck a pipe connected to this this is a PVC plastic pipe. I believe it was a 6-inch, and it's got slots in it, and it's filled with a bunch of polished gravel. This polished gravel rock was built so that it doesn't ever get gunked up with soil and stuff like that, that it keeps free flowing. So what's happening is this essentially, like from my understanding, a giant straw that's attached to this underground water reservoir, and it's leaching water out. And it's leaching enough water out that it's giving more gallons per hour than some people's wells. So a man-made, and I believe this thing is lasting all year. We need Zep Holzer to step up and tell us a little bit more about this kind of thing, you know. Really, really cool. A man-made spring, you guys. Does it get better than that? And you want to know what? That's it for those 4. I got one more left, and that's your mind. That's when you change your mind from the negativity to the positive, and you start exploring your magic, and you start getting back in touch with your curiosity, and you start doing things like a lot of these people who invented and recreated a lot of these things. That's where they come from. They come from people like you and me. I believe in you, just like I tell my kids. I believe in you guys. I'm telling you right now. But you have to believe in yourself that the world could be a better place, that you could make the world a better place, that you would have a vantage point. You tell me that you look at somebody doing something or a certain product, you've never had a thought like, gee, I wonder if I would have done this. Or what if someone went and did this, right? That's the kind of shit I'm talking about, is that we all have perspective. We all have our own imaginations. And if we all tapped into that, instead of letting it sit aside dormant, that the powers of things that we can do would be astronomical. So I look at the most powerful invention, the most powerful machine, the most powerful thing we have on the planet is each of our minds. And when we change, like I said, from these people, which I don't have time for, who are all into the negatives and everything, and they want to live there, that's fine. But for those of us who actually want to get up and do something and make something happen, we have these kind of people, Zep Holzers out there, people making shit that we can model after and create our own. So that's basically all I have to say today. I hope that my seedlings, which are in the back of my truck, I hope they all didn't pour over. I made soil blocks. I'm out going to my spin farm location today. First time transporting seed blocks. Ugh, I hope it's going to be all right. Anyways, that's the show, guys. I'd really appreciate it if you guys would give me some support here. We're on episode, 193. This is 3 years into it, and we're not really getting much traction. I need to know that if I've inspired you guys or given you guys some sort of something out of the show. You know, if you find it useful, entertaining, whatever, please comment. It's upandinhisshow@gmail.com. You can let me know there, any comments. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, middle finger, a review. If you guys want this show to keep going, I'm asking for your support. So If you like it, Up and In It is the name of the show. Up and In It at YouTube, anywhere where they'll let me do the podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and a lot of uhs in there, and TikTok. So as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.